Hi, so we are going to examine the DOA Live character models. We are going to look at Kasumi specifically. We're going to go over DOA Live 3, DOA Live Ultimate, and DOA Live 5 character models along with DOA6. We're going to find out for sure if they actually toned down the characters or not. It's been a rumor going around since DOA6 announcement. The reveal trailer, the characters looked noticeably flat compared to the previous versions. I'd argue that since TGS, all of a sudden the characters looked a lot better. But yeah, we're gonna go into this. So we're going to start off with this program called Read Explorer. It's a little tool I found. Had to go through a lot of searching. It allows you to open up the archive files from the previous games, examine them, pull out the characters. The goal here is that we're going to get each of them, extract them, and then bring them into Blender where we can compare them side by side, overlap each other, use X-ray. You see here there are the rest of the characters. We're finding Tina, Jan Lee, and Rie Hayabusa, and there's Kasumi. Okay, here we have her texture set, and let's get to the model. Alright, very nice looking model. As you can see, she's highly stylized, very anime-esque, very cartoony. You see that absurd bust, like you don't really see that in games these days anymore, sadly. It seems highly unrealistic, but at the same time, it's very visually appealing, and that's kind of the point of making video games anyways, to make them visually appealing. So we're going to go ahead and extract this. And once we get this .xpr file, we're going to have to then get that XPR file and extract that into a different file type, .3ds. Okay, we're going to put this aside for now. Export to 3ds. See, here's the frustrating thing about 3ds files. Look at this, 72 objects, 87 textures. Okay, 72 objects. In DOA Live, the characters are broken up into several components, okay? And that means they each have to be assembled. Once you bring a character in, they come in parts, and those parts are scattered. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. Go ahead and go to, the place where I just extracted. There's the first file, there's the second file, and all these are different body parts, all of them. Okay, so this is her hair. It's not the part that we want, but it shows you the issue. It loads in at completely zeroed out on its origin, and it's not even facing the correct direction. There probably are ways to mitigate this, and there probably is like an extension script or something that can address this, but I didn't have time to find it. I just wanted to hurry up and get these models in. So this one should be the one we're looking for. Okay, that is the bust. So as you can imagine, it's going to be extremely difficult trying to assemble all these pieces to make one character. So I spared you that and already assembled the character myself earlier. But for the sake of keeping myself honest, I'm going to import what you just saw me export. So this is a completed body, and let's make sure that it aligns with the body that we had just exported. The point of this is to show that, although a lot of manual assembly was done, there is no further modification other than simply getting it to align. Okay, so that's the file that we just extracted. It has a lot of errors, so we're just going to fix that real quick, smooth it out, and make the normals consistent. Alright, now let's align this up and make sure that there are no changes done to the body. Getting closer, getting finer, get real precise. Okay. As you see, there is no difference no changes were made. Let's go ahead and x-ray this, see it through the rest of the body, and you see that it's perfectly fine. Alright, get that out of the way. Now we're going to examine DOA6 Ultimate. Same as before, we're going to go to Greed Explorer, and we're going to open up the archives of the game, assuming I get the correct directory. Okay. That should do it. Right there, Kasumi 001. Here we have our texture set as before. As you see, it's a little more detailed. And here we have the DOA6 Ultimate body. Now you might ask why I skipped 4, but the thing is that DOA6 Ultimate and DOA6 4, they're the same project, and the character models are the same. Probably give or take a few tweaks to the joints and things like that. Maybe some different resolution textures for some of the characters, some of the areas, but in general these are the same as 4. So DOA6 Ultimate and DOA6 4, same thing. So we're going to go ahead and rip these. Have to use a slightly different extraction method. DOA6 Ultimate's quite a bit different from DOA6 3. Okay, with that done, now like we did before, going to break this up into a 3ds file. "75 objects." Okay. I'm going to take a look at this. Now the body type numbers are going to be different than DOA6 3, so hopefully we can find the correct file that is just the bust. Wow, they have the morph targets. Okay, there is the bust for Kasumi. Alright, now like before, I had previously assembled this to avoid the painstaking effort of having to do this again on video. It would make this video hours, so I spared you guys that by pre-assembling the characters. So, for the sake of transparency, let's re-import the model. Just the bust to show that no alterations were made, nothing other than simply just aligning the bodies. Rotate this. Be very precise. Make sure this fits right on top. Okay, there you have it. You see that there are no alterations made. The only thing that was done was that the body was simply assembled. Okay. Well, let's compare DOA6 Ultimate body with the DOA6 3 body. As you see, there is a noticeable difference. In some ways, she's a lot less stylized in DOA6 Ultimate. Probably the biggest difference being her waist. It's less cinched, it's a bit more wide. It does seem to be that there is a slight difference with the bust between DOA6 3 and DOA6 Ultimate. They seem to be up a little higher. Yeah, you see the models laid over each other. DOA6 3 body is actually protruding up at the top. DOA6 Ultimate is more of a natural sag being squished from her gi top. Yeah, there's a bit of space here. Interesting. Yeah, there is a noticeable difference between DOA6 3 and DOA6 Ultimate. Alright, well, now that's settled. We're going to start examining the rest of the models from DOA6 5 and DOA6 6. So let's move on to DOA6 5 right now. Okay, Dare Live 5's files are handled quite a bit differently. None of those other programs are going to be used to get it. So here we have an archive tool made just for extracting the Dare Live 5 character models. You see there's the file path to Steam. We're going to filter out all the characters that are not Kasumi. We're going to first load in character initial. This contains all the default characters and their default costumes. So as you see, this is everyone. All that's listed in the base game, no DLC. Okay, now let's just search for Kasumi specifically. The costume numbers are going to be a bit different compared to the other games as far as her primary costume. I'm going to take a shot and say that number 1 is still her primary costume. I know that they're arranged a bit differently, but let's take a look. Okay, so we're going to extract this. Should be one of these. Okay, that is entirely the wrong costume. Alright, so we're going to try this again. Costume 2. And lo and behold, there's Kasumi's default. Or at least her classic default. Alright, but for the sake of transparency, let's re-extract these so that, you guys can see that this is coming from the game's archives. Extract selected. I'm going to open it up again. Alright, there we go. Now you might notice we're already seeing a problem. That problem being is that they're not actually in the same pose. Dare Live 5 character models are positioned in A pose, while Dare Live 3 and Dare Live Ultimate are positioned in T pose. But we're going to fix that. I'm going to open this in Blender. Here we have the character model, complete with the armature and bones, and this is how we're going to fix the pose. Since it's complete with the armatures, we're able to pose the character manually and put her in T pose to make sure that she lines up with the previous versions of the character. It is a mess trying to navigate to get these legs. All these tiny little bones are all part of the soft simulation for the game. Okay, there's T-pose. Clean this up a bit, get those bones out of the way. We don't need to see the armatures when we're just looking at the pose. Alright, so like the others, I pre-prepared this and brought this into the file with all the other bodies. There she is. Alright, so looking at this, you can already tell that there's a massive difference between Dare Live 5 and Dare Live Ultimate. The waist is quite a bit wider, and she does look noticeably flatter compared to the previous ones. So let's actually see if that's true. There's a difference here. It looks like Dare Live Ultimate body is protruding from the top. But what does this actually mean? Because it's not protruding from the bottom. Interesting. It seems that her breasts simply sit higher. They come out to about the same distance, but they just simply rest higher. It's like she's wearing a push-up bra or something. You see the arms and everything else line up, but the waist is just... it's just smaller. The pelvis is higher. You see side by side, the knees line up, the neck lines up. But the busts, they seem to be the same except for the resting position. There isn't an actual difference in the literal size. Huh. That's unexpected. When first looking at it, it seemed very obvious that the Dare Live Ultimate version was going to be bigger. But here we are, and you see them, they line up perfectly. That is interesting. Huh. Alright then. This is so funny. I mean, it really seemed like there was going to be a massive difference, but there doesn't seem to be any difference at all other than the resting position. It's like in Dare Live Ultimate, she's simply wearing a push-up bra. Huh. Okay, we're going to set this back to its original position, and now we're going to compare to Dare Live 6. Okay, so modding in Dare Live 6 is a little new. It's not quite as matured as the previous games, but we still have some tools thanks to the amazing tool makers working with the modders. We have some great stuff. And okay, so we're going to go here to the character editor. These are the extracted files from Dare Live 6's archives. They're in G1M format, which is a strange format. This is something only really readable by the game. But in these, we're going to pull out or convert into an FBX. So we just have to find Kasumi in this list. Here we go. As you know, her default costume is different in Dare Live 6. And the other thing that makes this a bit of a headache is that the costumes don't exactly line up with the file names. So we're going to take a shot and grab costume 5 and 6 and hope that between one of them is going to be the FBX that we're looking for. Okay, so G1M to FBX. Okay, that's been converted. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and grab costume 6. Do the same thing. Alright. Now let's import this model into the scene. And we're going to see the next bit of a hurdle that we come across. Oh, you know what? I need that file path. Yeah, I forgot where it saved it. I know somewhere near the Steam directory, but I need to get the actual file path. So, one moment. Sorry about that. Oh, over here. Okay, we're going to start off with 006, and hopefully that's the one. Oh, where are we? Oh, yep, here we are. It's their Live 6 model. As you can see, it's a little incomplete because all the soft body physics bodies, they don't import just yet. Tool makers are working very hard. As you see, we have a massive problem here, and that's the scale difference. But this is fixable. I happen to know that it's scaled quite large, and I know the number that it's increased by. So we're just going to scale this by 0.01%. I said 0.1%, I mean 1%. Okay, so now they line up. We have all these bones here for the posing. We do the same thing as before, getting it into that T-pose so that it lines up. Assuming I can grab the right bone. X-ray this. Okay, here we go. Now, as you see, there are some issues with the deformation because the tools are still being worked on. Yeah, everything here is a work in progress, but we're going to get some ugly deforms like that, but we don't have time to fix that. That's not what we're looking for anyway. So I've already prepared the pose for the DOA6 model, so now we're going to compare this to DOA5. And it looks like they fit exactly. They're practically identical. They rest at the same position, and they're the same size. There's zero difference between DOA5 and DOA6's model. We do have some variance here as far as where her sword rests, her kodachi, her dagger. But besides that, everything else is just slight variation. If it's one thing that was completely left alone was the rest between DOA5 and DOA6. Now comparing DOA Ultimate, you see that it's just like we saw before. They're the same size, but they just rest higher in DOA Ultimate. DOA6 model, DOA3 model. Here, now DOA3 had the biggest that we saw by just a little bit, but here they protrude out to the same distance. The only difference being is that they sit higher. If they were truly bigger, then the breast would protrude out, not just on top, but on the bottom. They extend outward to the side at the same distance. Yeah, the only difference is that just in DOA3 and DOA Ultimate, she's effectively wearing a push-up bra. That and the waist difference, like we were saying before. So, yeah, this is the comparison. So it seems that the idea that the breasts were bigger in the previous games, it was the result of an optical illusion created from having simply a smaller waist and a higher pelvis. This is just so funny. I mean, it's literally the same as DOA5, and that was like the gold standard of the breast size. While I do miss the stylization of the previous games, it's just funny that they managed to maintain the same breast size no matter what. So the only real difference is how they rest due to physics, due to design, but it's the same size. I guess it could be argued that perhaps maybe other characters might have different situation, but I mean, you know, Kasumi was the one that everyone wanted to see. Kasumi was the one that everyone said that she had a smaller breast. But here we have the classic. I mean, look at this. This is just absurd. Like, you know, let's go back to DOA3. I mean, I know I have it open in Blender already, but still, just to see it with color. Look at that. That does look like it's bigger. It actually looks like that. But as you just saw, it's not. They rest higher, but they protrude out to the same distance. They're the same width. This is hilarious. Well, in any case, I'm going to have this file up for public download. You can just get it at the link below. It's going to contain all this, and I'm going to properly label everything, and you can compare the models yourself. All you need is Blender and the download of the file. If you want to get a third party or fourth party to make sure that the models haven't been tampered with, yeah, be my guest. That's kind of the point of this, is to, make this free from opinion, just objective. And go ahead and give that a proper name. Yeah, making it free from opinion. So it's not my opinion, it's not your opinion, it's no one's opinion. It's just the empirical facts. Just looking at the data, where the vertex positions rest, where the faces lie, just